Welcome to Film Study, an All American Universe podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast 5 stars, all that good stuff. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Today we're talking about Homecoming episode 210. It's always tough to keep up with the numbers of episodes, but 210, Dance with My Father. And I have Mandi on the pod, and I'm very excited to have her. But yes, let's get into it. So what were your overall thoughts about this episode? And what would you rate it out of 10?
I'm like I might be super extra and super biased, but I think it's like I want to say like 10, but I'm gonna give it like a solid
Mhm.
9 to be realistic.
You should no, you said extra. I'm thinking like 12. I'm thinking like 100.
Like I honestly think the whole episode was very strong. Like I was entertained by every storyline. Like even
Mhm.
Amara, even like Coach Marcus, which is like rare. So I being entertained by the whole episode was like very big for me. So I want to
Yeah.
say 10.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I also like this episode. I was talking to my friend Kaya, and I was just like, I love that I feel like we're getting back to a lot of like what made season one excellent. And that's like, things with Damon's family, because I feel like it does connect like a lot of the different characters. Obviously, Damon, which we'll talk about, and just I felt like the storylines were more contained as well. Like it just focused on the main characters for the most part, instead of sort of including other people that we might not know as well. So I think that all of that worked really well. So I think 10, honestly. For the kiss, they get a 10. For the kiss, they get a 10. Like I
It
don't
is.
know. I
It
don't know what to
is. It
say.
is. Yeah.
Um, and we'll get back to the kiss. But first also, you know what? First we're starting with Keisha and Cam, and this is also one of the reasons why it gets a 10 for me.
Hmm.
Keisha uh has been sort of taking this dance class. She gets back from being out of town once again. I don't know why they're doing this whole back and forth
They
thingy
can't
and
pay the
switching
actor
with
for multiple
episodes.
episodes, I
No, they're
guess.
just like, we could either pay Netta, or we could pay Royal. We
Yeah,
cannot pay both at the same
literally every
time.
time because it's always one or the other.
Exactly. And so Keisha is back. And she's talking to Simone about dance class, and she's just like, yeah, I don't know, Dr. Pace has been out, blah blah blah. She ends up finding out from classmates that Dr. Pace, in my own words, I feel like it's almost like a silent quitting, to use that term that has become
Mm,
popular. But she's just not attending classes. She's not doing extra things that she did because she got talked to by Amara, as we know, I want to say it was like 2 episodes ago, about how she is treating her students, and that she doesn't need to break them down. And so she's very upset about that. And so she comes to talk to Amara. She comes to essentially like tell Amara off about, oh, I thought I was talking to you said, right, that I was talking to Dr. P,
hmm.
not like President Amara, President Patterson. Um, and this is something that I have been saying really bugs me, but I feel like whenever Keisha is upset, she tends to always take it out on Cam.
It is true. It is true. Like I
Always talking
no,
sideways.
it is definitely true. Like he's the first one to catch it. Like everybody else, like they get some grace, but for her, like it's Cam as the punching bag for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so she was just mad at Amara, and she was just like, you don't even need to be here for this conversation, Cam. Um,
That was definitely funny. I laughed. I did laugh.
it was funny. It was fun. I mean, just like when she was just like, "Shut up! Don't talk to me." Like back when he first tried to talk to her at the dinner table,
Oh,
the infamous dinner
so
table
funny.
scene. So funny, still iconic to this
Hmm.
day. But they spend some time apart, and he then comes back to her and is just like, like, you can't just come at me weird. Also, because I think first she tried to come to him and say like, oh, are we gonna apologize now? And he was just like, yeah, go ahead. Like, because I don't have anything to apologize for. And I'm like, you're right, Cam.
Yeah.
But then she comes back after like thinking about it for a second, and he's just like, look, you know, we can't do this thing where we're just talking to each other sideways. We can't do this thing where we're like arguing and you're not understanding and having an open mind about what other people have to say and hearing other perspectives. He also ends up telling her that his or her dad and Amara have been seeing each other, which I'm like,
I don't think that was his business to
I'm
tell.
kind of
I did not like it.
it. I didn't like it either, and I was also very confused because we as an audience haven't seen, even though and people know this, but I personally, EYE, love Zeke and
Oh,
Amara,
me too.
but we haven't seen them since like what was it, episode 2 or something
Yeah.
like that. It was a really long time ago, and the last we heard was that he wasn't quite
Hmm.
ready to pursue things fully because he was still not over his wife and still had not like fully healed and like went through the grieving process, etc., etc. So the fact that he was just like, yeah, he called the office the other day, I was just very
Yeah. It was it,
very
and
confused.
he's at the end of the day, he is still her employee. So going like I understand there's like, there's a little bit of complications because they're all close, but he's telling her business to
Yeah,
Keisha when it's really not
yeah.
his place.
It's really not. It's really not. It was really
Hmm.
unprofessional. Cam, I know you don't want to go back to that delivery driver
Right,
job,
right.
the little bike, which I think he's already doing because he had to leave
Hmm.
earlier for something. But yeah, it was really odd. I think that they really picked that story back up to add some more
Hmm.
tension between Amara and
Yeah.
Keisha, but it just like I don't know if it quite landed in the way that they anticipated because then it was this whole scene where Keisha was like frantically calling Simone, who we'll get to when she was in the escape
Hmm.
room, and they talk about it, and obviously she's still healing from her mom, etc., etc. So she was like upset about it, and she was just like, I didn't give my dad the blessing, but I guess she like took that back and then ended up giving him her blessing and then coming to
Yeah.
Amar. So it's just like this was a very, I feel like
So much back and
this was a
forth.
storyline that needed to be fleshed out
Hmm.
over the course of 2 episodes
Hmm.
instead of just this one, because it was like two different things
Hmm.
happening at the same time. And the drama is the drama is that when we get to what Amara and Marcus were talking about, Marcus comes back with his little plan to help her. He ends up kissing her, ends up following up on his I love you that again was dropped like 5, 6 episodes ago.
Yeah. I actually forgot. Like when he said
Thank
that, I
you.
was
I
like,
thought I was the
when did
only.
that
I'm
happen?
like,
Like
why
I
are we
could not
picking back up
remember.
these things so randomly? Like,
Yeah, like that had to be like last year before they went on break.
I
Cause I'm like, I can't remember. Like I
I really
literally
think like
couldn't remember when he said
when
it.
did he say it? Because it had to be. Yeah, you're.
That ship is
It's so bad.
so
I have no
boring.
qualm saying that.
So
But
boring.
it was so interesting. He kissed her back. He kissed her. And here's the thing. I was trying to tell myself that she did not kiss him back, but then I watched it again. I was like, ugh, she did. I know.
She
I was like, I
definitely
can't even
did.
lie
Like
to
she wasn't.
myself. She
Yeah. I was
Me
surprised. Like
too.
I thought
And
she
then
was
she
gonna
was
like
kissing
back
him, and then
away, but
when Keisha was, I was
yeah.
fully prepared for Marcus to come out the side, show up in the doorstep behind Amara as
Yes.
Keisha is like being like, "I give
Oh
you
my
my blessing," and
goodness.
blah 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 blah. But they were not that messy.
Yeah. I thought that was gonna happen too.
It would have been
That would have
funny, and I
been
think
really
it would
funny
have
though.
given
Like I
good
think that would have been
drama, and I
great.
think it needed like it could have helped to like give this storyline some breathing room as well, because if we're like now challenging
Hmm.
Keisha to despite
Hmm.
whatever awkwardness or tension she may have seen between Marcus and Amara, challenging Keisha to like still, I don't know, still stick with the fact that she apologized to Amara, and seeing her really struggle with like what to do about her dad's blessing. So I almost wish he would have been there
Yeah.
still, because I just think that that would have been really interesting to
Yeah.
see through the next episode.
Hmm. And it kind of, I feel like it puts Amara in a position where it's like, oh, you're not the
Thank
saint for
you.
once. Like, you can, like, it
Human.
makes her like kind of messy and
Exactly.
it's
Like
more
we needed to
fun.
see
I don't know.
it. We needed to see, especially because again, like we don't, are they back together? They had cooled off. So it's just like, have they even been talking? Like I don't even know if she's been talking to Zeke.
Yeah, like I assumed
Me too.
that they had broken up. Like
Yeah, she
that's
was
the
like, I'm
vibe
not
that I
gonna
got from their
hide.
conversation. So I was surprised when it came back.
So I was just very confused. And so she
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything wrong because they hadn't been together, but it seemed like Keisha had thought they had been. So I was just, I need them to follow up on this,
Hmm.
and I'm sure they will. But I was just like, I need
Yeah.
more, and I also need Amara to not be the saint, because I've been begging. They still have had her
Yes.
be a saint in this.
But I feel like maybe this is their start of that because now she's kind
That's
of
true.
stuck between two guys. So I'm kind of
I
excited to
am, but I'm
see
also just like,
where they
does
go with
Marcus have
that.
to be the other guy?
If it's just gonna
Exactly.
be her and Marcus, then it might be
I
boring.
don't want.
But like I feel like I don't know. It could be
I
fun.
think
It
it's
could be
something
fun.
different
It's
for
something
her,
different.
but it's just like the. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It's just the history that we've gotten with her and Marcus, um, is,
Hmm.
we've seen what they are because we've gotten them a lot. Like we got them a lot in season one, and then we saw them maybe the
Yeah,
beginning part of season two as well. So it's just like I don't like, nothing about their story is going to surprise me now, or like, because we've already gotten a
that is true.
whole arc, like we've gotten several arcs with them.
Yeah, we know
Exactly.
what it
So it's
is.
like at this point
Yeah.
I feel like
Mm.
just have her go back to Marcus and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to be with you," and then I don't know, introduce another little man
Yeah.
to compete against Zeke or something like that, just for a little
Yeah.
spice, just for a little spice.
Hmm. I like
But
that.
yeah, that's
That could be fun.
interesting, and I'm interested to see where it goes, and we'll talk about that when we get to predictions. But Jr. Jr. and Gabby, my loves.
Ugh, they're so
They're
cute.
so adorable.
So
And I
so
just
cute.
love that she's so honest with him. I think, not to say the other characters in this
Hmm.
story aren't honest, but like Gabby is honest in a way that's refreshing. I feel like a lot of the
Yeah.
characters in this story beat around the bush, and it takes them a long time to sort of
Hmm.
get to, and they are very honest, but it takes them a long time to get to that honesty, whereas Gabby is just like straight up 1,000% of the time, and it's I don't think
Hmm.
any other character has that dynamic and does it in, so like in a way that Keisha does it, right, where she's just sort of like almost flippant, and I still love her, but she does it almost flippantly,
Yeah.
whereas Gabby does it sort of like
Hmm.
with tough love. Like you still see the um you yeah.
It's compassionate.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like,
empathy, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to call Keisha not empathetic, but also,
yeah, Keisha will say the truth, but then it'll be like a joke. So it's like, oh, okay, like, haha, and then we
yeah,
move
she's very
on.
sarcastic. She's very sarcastic, so
Hmm.
it doesn't always, you don't always get the layer of love with the tough love that comes with Keisha.
Hmm.
Not in this season in particular, too.
Yeah.
And so they are thinking and talking about celebrating like the anniversary of JR getting healthy. I feel like some people on Twitter were like confused about what it was, but let me rest assured, it was not his birthday. It was like the anniversary of him, I think, being fully healthy. And he also had good news because he got invited to the Cape Cod Classic, which is a really big deal for baseball players because it basically means that they're on their way to the MLB. With
Hmm.
that,
I thought that was really sweet that they celebrated that anniversary. I thought it was cute.
me
It was really
too,
cute.
me too. And I love that we just like started with them chilling because we like almost never get to see that. So I
Hmm.
really like that. And obviously he was like starting to say, my my was it what does he call him? He's like, my Gramps is coming.
Gramps.
Yeah, my Gramps is coming. And we're dealing with that while also knowing that Damon is coming back from Chicago after his dad
Yeah.
died. But
Mhm.
we see we see and meet the grandfather, and I all American writers in the entire universe have this thing where they're just like, how can we outdo ourselves with terrible parental figures today?
Yep. Yep. Hmm.
Because it's just like, in the introduction of the show, it was just like, I don't think we could get worse than Tina, right? Tina Hicks. I don't know if we could get worse than Keena Sims, right? And then they sort of make them better and they make them likable and they redeem them and things like that. And then you get Jesse, and it's just like, Jesse is irredeemable completely. And then you sort of
Yeah.
start, they
Definitely.
start to put him on this path, and then you get to meet his dad, and it's like, what? I just, how do they say? I'm just like, are the writers okay?
Yeah. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I thought like there was like some like I was like okay like cool, but the crazy statement about like having him make him give up Damon and everything else. Like I was like this is getting crazy now. Like I was like I
Very
need him gone.
wild. He was saying some wild stuff about calling Gabby
Even
a
Gabby,
fast
like why
girl. What?
that was insane.
It like
Gabby was minding her
the
business.
farthest thing from a fast girl, like obviously like belittling her engineering accomplishments, and it
Hmm.
was so strange too, and it was almost like so strange that it was confusing because he was saying so many wild things that I was just like, wait, was he trying to allude that Celine was like cheating on Jess? She was cheating on Jesse, but I was like, was he trying to allude that she was cheating with somebody else too? Like I was just very confused.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just like wild. Like he like was trying to make enemies. Like
Yeah,
it was
it
really
truly
bad.
was. Came out the gate trying to make enemies. And
Like I
did.
started feeling bad for Jesse, which is when like
It's
something's very, very
facts.
wrong.
I was just like, no, why am I feeling bad for this man?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
yeah, it was just weird. And it was the fact that, to your point, he did start to make enemies because he made Damon so uncomfortable. And I was just like
Hmm.
watching this and almost having a visceral reaction just because like grief is so tough to watch on screen, especially if you've like been
Hmm.
through it in real life and you've been through it sort of recently. And it sucked so much that, and we'll get back to this when we talk about Damon, but you just felt like how overwhelmed Damon was with all of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that the like Gramps or whatever, I don't know his name, just kept saying like, oh, you need to get rid of your last name and like this and that. And I'm like, did nobody tell him that his dad just died?
Yeah.
Like, it like nobody for the first part was stopping him while he was saying all this. They sort of just like let it sit and just like moved on
Hmm.
to the next conversation. But I was like, no, like somebody needs to say something to
Yeah.
this man.
No, it's true. But I feel like it's so typical of like black families like to
Hmm.
let the elders say whatever
Yes,
and then
no,
it's
you're
like
right.
you don't speak back to them. So it was just like this is just their family dynamic. So the fact that it had to get so far for them to actually say something is like it wasn't that surprising.
Yeah, no, honestly, you're so right about that. And I think that's why they made it such a point to show how uncomfortable Damon and Gabby were when they talked to JR about it. And he was just like, oh, no, it's just Gams. And then, Gabby comes back in and she's like, nah, man, it's not. It's not. And they sort of devise this plan to go and talk to them. And JR, like, sort of finally figures it out. But yeah, so it was odd. Are we gonna see this man again? I feel like that's the type of introduction you have for like a recurring character up
Yeah.
until this point. Because if he's doing all that and he's only gonna be in this episode, I don't even know what to
Hmm.
to say about
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. I feel like he kind of caused more drama than like GW would. So like I'm for him. Like if he's gonna
He
cause some
did.
mess again. So
He's worse than GW. I feel like at least in the
yeah,
short
he oh definitely. Definitely,
in the
definitely.
short. And who knows? Honestly, we're saying that because it's a sort of recency bias. Because GW was bad in the beginning. Like he was
Yeah.
horrendous in the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, but I was just obviously said like Jr. reflects on it. Jesse ends up standing up to his dad and apologizes to Jr. for like basically treating him how his dad treats him. And I thought this was a good moment, and I was just like, oh, they really are going to do this little redemption arc thing with
Yeah.
Jesse. I see what
I
y'all trying
I
to do.
think we should stop redeeming bad parents. I don't
I
know. I think
do, I do. I'm with you.
yeah, I don't know, like even like the whole like Tina situation. Kina I think was like a good proper redemption, but like
Yes, I love
I don't
her.
know. I like I think she's great, but like I don't know. I feel like sometimes like the parental child relationships can just stay strained.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I think that it's with Tina in particular, it just feels like she hasn't earned it. Like it, and
She hasn't.
talked about this when she popped up in the other episode, but I was just like, this was a little jarring to see them just like hugging and acting like everything is okay. Like
Yeah.
literally less than this is only the second semester. So literally a
Mm.
semester ago, she was like withholding money and basically about to get Simone kicked out of school.
Yeah.
Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, she definitely doesn't deserve it. Like I roll my eyes every time I see her on screen. Like yeah.
So yeah,
Let it
no,
stay strained.
let it stay strained. Um and yeah, but I think let it stay strained while also like I did appreciate the humanizing moment of the traditions because I have to remember that like Jesse, even though he's a horrific parent to Damon and has been like we've seen bad moments with JR. JR has this affection for him that I never really understood up until this episode when he brings out the cupcakes and I'm just like, "Oh, that's why he doesn't like hate his dad. Like that's why he's able to
Hmm.
talk about his dad and still have love for him, still sort of let things roll off of his back about his dad was
Yeah.
because they like he was his dad. Like he was very present in his life. He did do
Yeah.
positive things for him. And I think that makes sense
Hmm.
for JR, maybe not so much for Damon, but it makes sense for
Yeah.
JR and it gave me some color as to why JR is a little bit has been like more lenient with Jesse, which I didn't really understand before.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt exactly the same way because him and Damon's relationship was so strained and I was
Yeah.
like, you were so horrible, but like that's who JR grew up with, like, who took care of him all those years. So like he can't really, I guess, pick a side. I was like, he can't really pick a side because that's
Yeah.
his dad at the end of the day.
Exactly. Exactly. And the cupcakes were cute. They were
It
just
was.
cute. Um, I also this is such a side note. I'm sorry. I also thought I was just like, we're finally gonna get him doing something nice. I was just like, he's gonna pick up the cupcake and give it to Damon, and then he
And
just
he
ate it.
didn't. I was like, no,
I
because
was
I was like,
like,
why did he give one to Damon? I was like, this is
literally.
why I still don't like you. Like, I was like, oh, this is so nice. I was like,
When
Damon's
I
just
tell you
sitting
we
there.
hear with that, because I was like, you couldn't even just give him a cupcake. Like, be real.
He's so useless. Like, oh my goodness.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And speaking of like shifting into Simone and Thea, they are both called to the tennis coach. They're both, ready to sort of resume their their spot, play again. Like Simone's suspension is up. Thea is medically cleared. Obviously, her mind is good now from the last episode. Uh, and basically tells them that no top six announcement has been made and that they have to play doubles. Um, once again, I was just like, when this random coach came up, I was just like, did they recast Coach Lonnie?
No, I thought that too, but I was like, oh wait, that's not Coach Lonnie.
Literally, then she was just like, Coach Lonnie and I did like a, what is it, rock, paper, scissors. I'm like, oh my God.
I feel like I remember you complaining so many times on other episodes, like, where's Coach Lonnie? Like, I feel like
Literally.
it's a recurring theme that she's never there.
Never here, never to be found. Like, what is wrong with this woman? And so, anyway, yeah, she's not here again, as she never is. They have to play doubles, and it's so weird because it's just like Tootie ends up taking, and the other girls end up taking Simone and Thea to an escape room and giving, like, first of all, the coach had said something about like communication being their problem, and I think Tootie like echoed that. But this didn't make sense. Like, it
It
was
didn't add up. It didn't add up at all. I was like,
the math
Tootie and
wasn't
Simone
mathing.
have still been beefing from like just an episode ago. So I don't understand why she's trying to preach to Simone and Thea about being teammates. Like that doesn't make
Literally,
sense. Like
honestly,
you're the
Tootie
last
and
person who should
Simone
be
had a
speaking.
more tenuous relationship than Simone and Thea did, which I was very
Definitely.
confused. It's like, I don't want to go on a rant, but it reminded me of the last episode. I think it was the last episode when Lando, yeah, it was the last episode when Lando told Simone, it was he was said, "Oh, it's because, the things with the tennis girls, like you're scared to let somebody in." Or he was just like, "Things with the girls, you're scared to let somebody in." And I was like, "The girl, like who are you talking about? Are we
The
talking about Beverly people?" Like, and then they said
I thought
that
he was
it's
talking about Beverly people. That's what I got from that conversation.
that's what like. It's this tennis arc with Simone and the girls has been like, I don't know if it's been paced correctly, because we get these things where we're like confused about why Simone is upset, why she can't trust her line sisters, and then we get this episode where it's this thing that people are trying to say that Simone and Thea have a communication problem, and they don't really have one. Like, they've been
They
fine.
don't.
Like, they've been fine for a couple episodes now. And I think it would have worked better if they had just played it as some sort of comical, like, you know, I don't, you guys have to learn to be teammates despite whoever gets into the top six, instead of this whole you need to work on it and be teammates together thing. Because I was just like, I don't think being teammates has never really been their issue, to be honest. It's just
Yeah.
been the rivalry within them being teammates.
Yeah.
So it was just weird, and also like it was weird, but it was also entertaining. The setting,
Hmm.
just the fact that we got them in an escape room and everything like that. But I
Yeah.
also felt, and let me know your thoughts on this. I was just like, how come they're not giving Thea any of the clues? I was just like, Simone's literally putting everything together,
Yeah. Thea was just standing around looking
just
cute,
standing there.
doing nothing.
Literally, and then all she does is like hold the plank, and I'm like,
Like,
I don't know if I'm like, did other scenes get cut where Thea was answering some clues to show it was like the both of them working together?
I have no idea. But yeah, she was really doing nothing.
Nothing, just standing there and waiting for Simone to figure it out. Um, but yeah, they have a conversation, and Simone is just like, "Oh, it's the culture that you started, which is why we're in this mess in the first place." And then they sort of talk and come back together, talk about Thea and Damon, which she
Ugh.
she honestly, I think one of the most realistic things about this conversation with her and Simone was the fact that Thea didn't know how to approach Damon. I know a lot of people were upset with her about that, but I was just like, I think in this particular instance it makes sense that she doesn't know what to say. It's her first boyfriend. She didn't
Hmm.
really know how to act in this relationship. She didn't know how to like, yeah, she didn't know how to act in this relationship, and she didn't know how to really have a boyfriend. This was her first experience, and
Hmm.
she's, college age. She's like a college sophomore or junior or something like that.
Hmm.
Having a relationship for the first time, and then suddenly this man's father dies. On top of all of the craziness that was his adoption story, and I think it makes sense that she's a little
Yeah.
hesitant to talk to him.
I completely agree. I thought it was very on brand for her character. Like Thea in general is like very like awkward when it comes to friendships, much
Most
less
things.
relationships.
Exactly.
So her not talking to Damon and like, you know what, like I'm probably gonna say the wrong thing, so I'm just gonna completely avoid you, just makes sense for her. Like I wasn't surprised at all that she never talked to him.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad that Simone encouraged her. And it was interesting because, Thea was just like, well, even like, you talked to his mom and da da da. And it was just like, yeah, well, because he was just trying to check in on him. And, you
Hmm.
know, his mom knew that you two broke up and such XYZ. So I think that
Tina's
helped
definitely
her
playing
sort of.
favorites though.
Oh, she is, because we gonna talk about that.
She's definitely
But
playing
I was,
favorites. But
I was
anyways,
happy that Simone didn't make it seem like that. She was just like,
yeah.
no, it's just like a normal thing.
Hmm.
And I think that gave her the boost that she needed to go and be there for Damon and for them to have a conversation. And she let him know that she was there for him. They played doubles. They played doubles as singles, which I've had someone on the podcast. I don't remember exactly who it was that said this, but they played tennis. And I was just like, I wish that person was here right now, because I'm just like, this whole
Something doesn't look
playing
right.
double. Thank you.
I was watching, like, I watch tennis like casually, but I'm like, this doesn't look right. I don't watch doubles
It does
often, but I
not.
was like, this doesn't seem right. But you know what? It's TV, so suspension of disbelief and all that.
Yes. Yes. But I was just like, I don't know. I feel like some tennis players gonna be mad that they were just like, oh, let's play doubles and
Oh,
singles.
definitely.
Like,
It's like the football
what?
players, like with All American, like, oh, that was a terrible
Yes.
turnover, touchdown, whatever. Like, nobody cares
Yeah,
about
all
that.
of and yeah, no, and all of the routes that Spencer was running, Daniel has put in a lot of work over the years to perfect his route running. But yeah, no, that definitely felt like this. And it was also, I'm sorry, this is like a behind the scenes thing that I paid attention to too. But I was so surprised that they showed Simone so much on the tennis court, and that could just be a case of like showing the protagonist more, because I think that they've said and like reiterated that Camille actually did play tennis, so she's
Yeah,
a
I
little
noticed
bit
that
better at
too.
it. So I
Yeah,
was
I
just like,
feel
oh,
like Jeffrey's
we not
getting
gonna show
better
Camille.
though. She's getting
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
you should
better.
know. She the split that she did, I think Jeffrey has put in immense work.
Hmm.
I was just surprised that like that split, because I don't think we saw much of Thea at all like in that
Hmm.
match.
Yeah, we
So
didn't.
I was just curious, and I probably paid a closer attention to it because of the escape room, where we also didn't see it. I'm
Mm.
like, okay, for storytelling purposes, we need to see a little bit more. um But yes, that was. Oh, and they both got in the top six, which I was just like, I love it, but also who's getting dropped because of it, and who's going to be mad now? Question mark.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like also,
Is it
oh,
going to be
what was the
Tootie?
name
Is it
of
going to
that
be Tootie?
girl? That her friend, Simone's friend, like a while ago, and like
That got in, but then they didn't think she deserved it. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
remember. We haven't seen her in a while,
yeah,
so
she's
maybe
been
they'll just
gone.
like come up with something. But it was so interesting because it was just like that was already the plan from the jump, and they
Mm.
just didn't tell that to them. And I'm like,
Nah,
so
they just did it for
the
funsies.
Brixton, they did it for funsies. The Brixton coaches and professors, they just be doing stuff to just do
Yeah.
stuff. And they're like, I just want to let you sweat a little
Hmm.
bit. For funsies, like you said. But glad that they're on the right track. Everything seems to be working out on that front. And the emotional weight of the episode. Damon coming back from Chicago. Simone's in the beginning talks to Keisha about how she wants to be there for Damon, and how his mom was talking to her. And they had a whole welcome party for Damon. This is one of the instances where I was just like, this is a little bit like, is nobody questioning like, maybe we shouldn't have this many people here, like we need to show that we're there
Yeah,
for him.
I thought that was a lot, like a little bit
It felt like
much.
a lot. Like I felt overwhelmed, and I'm not Damon. This was just like one by one. I'm here for you. I'm here for you too. I am also here for you. I was like, ugh, this man just got off the plane. Let him breathe.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and it's so interesting because and I feel like this is the emotional weight of Damon's story. Not to bring the mood down for a second, But having gone through a situation pretty recently where a member of my family passed away,
Mhm.
Jesse's advice to Damon when he was saying like, "Oh, I got so tired of people offering condolences, so I won't do that." I
Yeah,
feel like that was a very necessary phrase to hear because it's just like it gets so
it does.
tiring
It
hearing that
does.
phrase over and over and over again. And yeah, yeah, it just gets exhausting.
Hmm.
But also, I was just like, I don't want Jesse to be the person to say this. Like,
Yeah. I agree. I feel like it wasn't his place to say, because like it was understandable, but like you should be, I don't know, begging for Damon's forgiveness and love. Like you
exactly.
shouldn't be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be hands off in this situation.
Yeah, and it's like it's what I struggled with this so much because I was like, it's what he needs both in the I'm not gonna offer condolences and at the end where he told JR not to go after him. But at the same time, it's just like Jesse has not earned just because he's been apparently, and I still don't buy it, but just because he's been sitting at the cafe every Wednesday or whatever it is does not mean
Allegedly.
he's earned allegedly exactly does not mean he's earned the place to say, I know everybody's offering you condolences, so I won't offer you one, or like, oh, just let him go. So I was just like, I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, I just hate Jesse. Sorry.
Exactly. So it was just weird, but I was glad that at least somebody did say that to him. And it was also interesting that I loved this so much. But getting to Damon and Simone, and obviously Damon was, like we said when we was talking about JR's story, like getting to know Gramps, not really loving what he was seeing, having to deal with him continually asking him to change his last name. But Simone sort of just being there and saying like, I'll be there when you're ready. Simone knocking on the door and him saying, "Come in, Simone." I
I nearly died.
without even knowing it was her. But here's the thing: I really thought the writers were gonna pull something on us, and it was gonna be like Thea or somebody because this was early in the episode
Hmm.
when he said, "Come in, Simone."
No, oh, that would have been
But the
funny.
fact that it I thought I was totally expecting that because I was just like, the writers are gonna play games. They're gonna play games. But the fact that it actually was Simone and he said, "Come in, Simone," I melted. I was just like, Damon is coming to me.
It was so good because I
It
didn't
was
actually
so
watch
good.
live, and I saw that like after I'd known that they already kissed. I was like, oh my goodness, like soulmates, soulmates.
Yes, soulmates, and it's I don't it's that again. It's that thing. I don't know. They have some dust. They have something that's sprinkled on them that is great. Like I've enjoyed Lando. I have as a nice thing to like distract her
Oh,
in
you
the
have? I
meantime.
haven't.
Okay, hold on. Me enjoying Lando as a character is not me saying I've enjoyed their kisses, which we'll
Oh,
get to.
okay, okay.
Oh my gosh. So no, I've enjoyed like him just being there as a support in the meantime for her. But I have always been like, Damon is coming. Damon is coming.
Mm,
Simone has not dealt with her feelings yet. And once, anytime they're in a scene together, it's gonna come back up. It's gonna
mm,
come back up, those
every time.
those Damon feelings. And so again, she gives him this letter that Damon's mom told her about, which it's
I
just
thought that was kind of
once
crazy that
again,
like
it
Kina
is
told him,
insane.
like, Simone, like, make sure you take care of him, and here's this life-changing letter also. Like, Kina was kind of crazy for that. I can't even lie.
She is crazy. It was, but can we talk about like Kita is just crazy in general when it comes to Simone because the way that she brought up Simone when David was trying to introduce her to
That
Thea,
was so
like it
funny.
was just even just like way back when she went to Chicago and she was just like, in no funny business in the house, like I'm not coming home. Like it was just like, girl, can you just chill for 2 seconds?
She chose her favorite. Like, it's done.
she she chose her favorite, but I think it goes beyond favorites at this point because it's just like it's so interesting that she chose to share this with Simone and not share it with like
I
JR. Like she
know.
didn't tell JR
Hmm.
to, look.
I thought that was
And the other thing
interesting
is just
too.
like, yeah, and I think like I'm so intrigued by her character, and so the the actor in me wants to dig into that and be like, is it because like she actually really hasn't even talked to JR that much since finding out all the news, like
Hmm.
she's still reeling with it. And so there's like so many other reasons behind why that could have taken place, in addition to the fact that she chose her favorites
Yeah,
and she looked.
it's true. It's true.
But but she's just such a. I think that's one of the great things about her character. This is turning into a Keena Sims love fest, but one of the great things about her character is that it's really, you can't just pinpoint one thing why she does something,
Hmm.
because she's so layered, so layered. Um, but yeah, tells Simone about the letter. Simone tells Damon about the letter, and he's just like, "I'm not gonna read it." And obviously, she says like, "Well, when you're ready to talk, I'll be here."
I love that
And
about Simone also. Like
same.
she's very like she's caring, and like sometimes she can be like, I guess not pushy, but like, strong with like, I'm here to help you, but like she knows when to
1,000.
back off. She knows when to like
Yeah.
give people space, and she cares
Hmm.
very very deeply like about all her friends, but like Damon especially. It's
I
so
agree.
nice.
I agree. I agree. And I think like we see that in like the way that she interacts with other people, like telling Thea like you got to go see him and talk to him and etc. etc.
Hmm.
etc. Which she finally does, which Thea finally does. And it's so weird because it's just like this is the case of some another phrase that the All American Universe loves to say, right? Oh, we were friends. We were friends before
Friends,
this.
we
And I'm
were
like,
friends.
Thea,
Barely.
were you? I don't know. Y'all got together kind of quick.
Barely. They were barely friends.
Y'all got together kind of quick. Just because y'all watched A Different World a couple times does not mean that you all
Ugh,
were like
yeah.
these friends.
I also feel like
Um,
Thea was friendless, so like he probably was one of her few
true.
friends. But like they use that
You know
term
what?
so
You're right about
loosely, so
that.
loosely in
Use it
general.
so
But like
loosely.
for Thea, she was
Yeah.
friendless.
Yeah. No, that's very correct. That's very correct. And Damon definitely was, I think, a friend to her
Hmm.
first. I think on Thea, it's just like Thea, her whole arc has been learning how to be a friend. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't know if I could say that Thea was friends with Damon. Damon was definitely friends with Thea.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know why, but that's like a distinction in my mind.
Hmm.
Um, but regardless, when Damon is ready to talk about, or to read the letter, I should say. And this is after seeing JR and Jesse, and how they sort of handle everything with the grandfather and the tradition with the cupcakes and thinking about his dad. He finally reads the first part of the letter. And as I like to say, Damon knows where home is.
He does. He does. Because in a
He knows
crisis,
where home
he's
is.
not running to JR.
In a crisis. In a crisis, he comes knocking on Simone's door. She already know what they finna talk about. She's just like, hand me the letter, boo.
And I love the parallel to like the last, like, where they're almost kissed, where like he was gonna knock on the
Yes.
door, but like, she heard him talking on the phone with Jordan, but now like knocked on the door, she
Hmm.
was fine, and like I don't know, I just noticed that, and I was like, oh my goodness, like it's
And
gonna happen.
also getting, yes, yes. Also getting to, like, obviously he reads the letter and it's essentially what we all know as an audience what happened. Right, he's found out that he's not Damon's father, and he was just like, and I'm being a little bit selfish because I can't let you go. And I know that's not right to Jesse, but when I die, and I thought that was such a nice way to wrap up Damon's father's storyline. He's still,
He's a
I
horrible man.
still
Like he's definitely in a fiery place.
he, he is, but it's just like it's so like I it's one of the most, I think, intriguing characters ever,
Hmm.
and it's like someone that I just wish like we had one episode where we saw like him on a real good day and him actually like in his right mind just to see what he would say about all of this,
Yeah.
but we will never get that opportunity. So like hearing this, like hearing this message and this letter be read, and him being like, I know I'm selfish, I know I am doing this, but also like, when I pass on, don't feel like you have to, stay oddly loyal to me, was
Hmm.
just, I don't know, it was
It was so
so
nice.
rewarding. Yeah, it was so nice. Just 'cause it's been a struggle.
Hmm.
His whole arc since
I know.
since the
I
very
know, like, everybody
beginning.
hated it at the beginning, but like I was so interested by like halfway through this first
I
season.
Like we are the same, because I literally went through a process where I was just like, the writers are like, you are going to like this story. And by the end of the season, I was just like, this is one of the best things they've
Yeah,
ever written.
yeah. I was like the back and forth of like, oh, like, you know, I don't know. I thought the reveal was good. I thought it was interesting. Jared and Damon
I
being
thought
brothers
it
was
was
great.
because we really thought we was set when we were just like, oh, they had an affair and that's what
Hmm.
happened. And then to come to find out that he not even the daddy. No, it was good.
No, that gagged me. It gagged me. It was crazy.
It gagged me for real. I was just like, oh no, this is the one. This is the
Hmm.
one. So to see this full circle moment and him reading the letter with Simone, making it like another full circle moment in and of itself was
It was
was
nice.
so rewarding. And to your point about it reminded you of, I want to say it's 108. 108 is the dance, is the
Yes.
Chicago trip.
Yes.
To see that, and it was almost like they started like they were leaning in the exact same way they leaned in 108, and
Hmm.
I was just like
It,
and I have to tell you, I was watching on a delay.
oh,
Number one, I was watching on a delay, and my friend Kimberly who's been on the podcast, she called me and she was just like, I can't believe that happened. And so as she's talking to me, I'm literally watching them. I was just like, whoa, wait, wait.
that is so
I was just like,
funny.
not a kiss. And then immediately what left my mouth, and I was just like, and they beat the ugly kiss
Oh my
allegation.
goodness. I cheered. I wasn't even watching. It was like 3 minutes left. I was texting everybody's like, did they kiss? Did they kiss? Did they kiss? Like the episode's over. Everybody's like, I saw people saying, oh, they're not even kissing. They're not even kissing. And then suddenly everybody was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, kiss matches everywhere. And I was like, guys, find me the video, please. I'm not home.
You should send it quick.
And it wasn't ugly. Everybody said it was so pretty. I was like, oh, I can sleep peacefully now.
Beat the I literally, that was, I don't know why that was like so on my
You
mind,
and
but
Haley,
I
like they were
could
like, oh,
not.
it better
And
be pretty. I'm like, I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
listen, Kimberly knows, I was just like, I just kept repeating that because look, once again, I like Lando as a character. Them kisses were
It
ugly.
was
I'm
so
sorry. Like
terrible. Like, oh,
it was
they were offending my
it was
eyes.
they were kissing like you would kiss somebody in real life, and I was just like, this is TV though.
Yeah.
This is
Sorry, you
TV
have to
though. It
make it
has to be
pretty.
aesthetically pleasing. Exactly. You have to make it pretty. And know it, and it was just like, we don't know what it's gonna look
Hmm.
like, because like now we've seen these ugly kisses with like Thea and David, and we see these ugly kisses with Simone and Blando. So we don't know. And so I was just like, I literally said out loud, I'm like, I am breathing a sigh of
Hmm.
relief because they're not, they beat the allegations. They beat the
Allegations. They beat
allegations.
them. They beat them. I always had faith in them. I don't know. I always had faith in them.
I'm
Hmm.
glad. I'm glad. I will never doubt them
Never.
again from here on
Never.
out.
Never.
So that was it. It was just, it was such a beautiful moment. It was such a passionate moment. And the thing is just like, obviously people are gonna have opinions on trauma bonding. There were a lot of opinions about Lando as well,
Yeah.
which that was, Twitter was going crazy. But it
I don't think it was trauma bonding at all.
I don't see trauma bonding. I see something that has been brewing for a very long time, since the backdoor pilot. And the thing is just like, I think I'm different than most people with this particular statement, is saying that, like, I don't know if I could ever just see Simone and Damon as
Mm-hmm.
friends. Like, because for me, they were never presented
Yeah.
as that. They were always present. Like, what Simone said is that there was always something
Yeah.
between us. And so, even when they were friendly and they are there for each other, I was looking at that as like, they're there for each other.
Yeah.
Like, right? There's always going to be that romantic dynamic between them. And that's why I look at this kiss and I can't, like, it's not trauma
Mm-hmm.
bonding, it's not blah blah blah. It's literally just them giving into these feelings that they've had for so
Yes,
long.
no, I completely agree. It was a long time coming. I think it was just like the opportunity like arrives because they've always had feelings for each other. Being friends was just a consolation prize because they were never single at the same
Exactly.
time. That was really it.
Right.
So it was just like, their
Exactly.
feelings finally, coming to fruition with action.
After them caresses, it was like, nah,
It
we finna
was
do
it was
this. We finna
crazy.
do this
Damon's kind
after
of insane.
these.
Like this man didn't even finish wiping his tears, and he was already macking. It was
Literally.
crazy.
Gotta respect it. Gotta
He's real. He's very real.
respect it. He's very real for that. He's very real for that. But so with that being said, predictions for the next episode. I was very disappointed. Number one, that we did not get "Dance with My Father" again, the Luther Vandross song. They never give me the songs that I want in these episodes. Had to cut it right there, but I hope you enjoyed me and Mandi talking about episode 210, "Dance with My Father." Stay tuned for our predictions.